Waiting it to load like dial-up. Now I want to talk a little bit about AI generated art because this is all AI generated. I'm going to be careful because at the bottom there's some not safe for work stuff. This is AI generated art. There was a video I watched a little while back by YouTube creator Never Knows Best. On his second channel, he made a pretty good one about AI generated art, which is pretty impartial, which I generally like his takes. His non-video game takes are usually pretty good, at least what he's done so far. The channel is uh, Best Never Knows or something like that. I'll link it in the description, obviously, but for the sake of this video, it's not going to be super constructive, not super organized of a look. I just want to talk generally speaking about AI art in terms of like maybe from a different angle, because a lot of the takes that I've seen tend to be either like a bit hesitant to accept it or adamantly against AI art, saying it's like it's a threat to the integrity of art as a whole, which I'm not gonna either like acknowledge nor deny the fact that that's true, but from a different, maybe I am denying it by not uh, bashing AI art, but at least from my perspective, there is a lot of benefit that comes with uh, the technology aided in AI art, at least from the perspective of someone like me as a casual, uh, someone who is an otaku, someone who is a waifuist. The biggest reason why I feel so strongly in support of AI art is because, like, for example, like I'm sure there's a lot of people who like who are into like a certain character. They like a certain character, maybe a character they consider a waifu or a husbando, and then they go online, they go on Pixiv, they go on Danbaru, they go on DeviantArt, and they try to find images of this character because they find them attractive, or they think they're cool, or there's something interesting about them that they feel strongly towards. But when they go to these sites, they'll end up not finding anything, or worse, finding art that they don't find pleasing at all. Within the past couple of years, after the final episode of Origairu Kan aired, which was the third season, there has been a steady decline of the amount of Yukinoshita Yukino art, who is a character I consider my waifu. I'm also very fond of a couple other characters, like we see Takagaki Kaede pictured prominently here on my computer screen. AI art sort of helps find a solution to this problem, which is not what it was intended to be for per se, but it fills a gap that people don't have, or like people don't have the ability to have infinite time. And even with AI art, we don't have infinite time either, but it helps drastically reduce the amount of time so we can create art for stuff that isn't necessarily represented well within the mainstream or just generally within the community at all. A couple years back, I remember there was this one character who it might have been like a meme, but in the anime Shirobako, there was the AV girl, the visual engineer girl, the one with the sleeves. Uh, I don't remember exactly what, but there was a couple people who were like, "Oh, she's adorable," but obviously there isn't really going to be any art of this character outside of the show itself. So besides just rewatching the show and taking screenshots of this character, there's not really much you can do. And there's a lot of cases where like you see maybe just like a brief little glimpse of this character, like a side character maybe, and you kind of wish there was more of them. That's what AR art attempts to solve, because there might not necessarily be anyone who is willing to create art of this character, much less at a reasonable capacity, I guess, outside of like an extremely amateur uh, portrayal of them. Sometimes you might luck out, and there will be a, maybe not luck out, but like that's not what I want to say. But like there might be like a case of bad luck where the character that you are very fond of ends up being uh, taken over by like one artist. Like a lot of times you look on a character who's sort of fallen from popularity, like I mentioned earlier, Yukino Shita Yukino, Yuko and Danbaru. Occasionally there's new art from decent artists, but a lot of times what ends up happening with these is unless there's like a specific artist who kind of like takes it upon themselves to make it their entire mission to draw this character for the rest of their life, which occasionally does happen. This ends up sometimes being like a fetish artist or someone who only draws like weird porn of this character, and that's literally all you have of them for the end of time, which ends up being kind of like demoralizing if you're into this character. Like this is all you got left of them, and it's kind of lame. It just happens a lot with like characters from series that have long since ended, or you just straight up don't get any new art of them. With AI art, you can generate new stuff for them, stuff that people might not necessarily get around to doing at any point, or generate art for characters that people don't want to make art of anymore. Um, it kind of brings into the question like the point of art if you're just going to AI generate it. If are we just here to look at the pictures, or are we here to look at the like the craft itself? A lot of people like me, a lot of dummies, a lot of amateur people. Um, I mostly just care about the pictures, the pretty pictures, the cute anime girl on the other end. Sometimes the craft does come through, but generally speaking, at least for me, I'm more so looking for the character. And the longer I look at this picture, the more I realize that Kaida does not have heterochromia in this picture, and it's bothering me a lot. She is supposed to have one green eye and one blue eye, and in this AI generated art, that is not true, which is something that would not happen if there was a human artist, but it's one of the concessions you make by AI generating it, I guess. But that's kind of the point of the video. Nothing, not too grand of a conclusion, I guess. But sometimes, like if you're into a character, and it's kind of sad to see a lot of the art just devolve into something. This might just be from my personal experience, but to see the art of art evolve or devolve into just weird fetish material. Maybe just one artist who takes it upon themselves to draw it, but they're not really that good at it. Maybe they're just extremely amateur, or you don't like their style, and that's all you have to hold on to for this character. Just one guy kind of doing whatever. AI art kind of helps that in a certain sense, like helps you find closure for this character or just in general. Um, I guess just from the perspective of being a waifuist. Um, I mean, I'm not saying like generate AI art, call yourself an artist. It's more so like something that should be used on an individual level, not necessarily to like share and make a profit off of. Um, it should be a tool available to people to just have. Like, ever looked for like a certain porn that you feel like you want to watch something very specifically? AI art can definitely do this. Um, it's gonna get to a certain point where you could just like punch in a bunch of keywords and you get the perfect picture, you get the perfect video. I don't know. This was kind of rambly. Um, I was kind of drafting a blog, but I reached a bit of writer's block at some point because like I was just repeating the same thing over and over, which I probably did in this little rant. Uh, but I feel like there are definitely some benefits to AI art, at least coming from the perspective of someone who has a waifu and is more so enamored by the characters and the actual craft itself. A lot of other people might come in with different perspectives and hot takes, but it's not like AI art is going to stop. But I just wanted to share maybe one of the many potential benefits to it uh, that are currently untapped. That we can just create cute pictures of anime girls for series that have long since been forgotten, or characters that other people don't care about. Maybe you're literally the only person in the world who cares about this character, and this is all you got left to hold on to.